Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Salam. It's me, Mandy. Thank you for joining me. For this particular talk, I guess I kind of want to issue, a statement, maybe a kind of a warning, like a heads up. Um, Yesterday, I posted a topic on my blog, and I also spoke about it as well in my recordings. Um, I was talking about power and energy exchange between man. I kind of strayed a little bit from my current topic of emotional depletion. And if you look at emotional depletion from the standpoint I'm talking about it, um, concerning what happens when man gets totally, exhausted when working so much to no end, and the best way to solve this is to keep connected to God and so forth. This is really discussing an energy exchange that takes place between man and God. That's pretty much um, the standpoint I'm addressing this issue. All right. There's also an energy exchange that takes place between human beings that goes on all the time, between man and man, or woman and woman, man and woman. You know, doesn't matter. Between human beings, also between animals, how we exist. But the power and energy between human beings and creation. There is an energy exchange that does take place. Now, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, or even if you are aware of it or not, it does take place. You don't even have to be a person of any great importance, be a leader, or have a following. As long as you are alive and you speak to at least one person, there is an energy exchange that is taking place, all right? And so when I speak of power, and I talk about power from the standpoint of black and white, is really just to, make us aware of how does energy exchange work, and how it works, and, so that way we know how to best operate um, and best respect, you know, energies of other people and even ourselves, all right? So, the reason why I like to use black and white, all right, is basically to use color as a reference for us to understand the push and the pull of power and that exchange that happens every single day. And as a matter of fact, it's not only just between human beings, but also between man and God. There is a push and pull. Um, there's that black and white. Now, this is not necessarily to say that black is evil and white is pure. That's not the case at all. And everything that's white is holy, and everything that's black is corrupt. But I will explain to you um, why I categorize the things the way I do. When speaking on morality and power, again, I like to use black and white, but I want you to kind of be aware that when I'm speaking about these two forces from the standpoint that I'm not putting good and evil first. I'm putting black and white first. Black and white is the main theme, is the main subject, is the main way of addressing this energy exchange. And then everything else gets categorized under this. For instance, if I was to say I'm putting good and evil first, so everything else that comes along dealing with the power energy exchange, angels and demons, so you put angels on the good side, demons on the bad side. And then we have the push and the pull. Well, then you would say, all right, pushing and pushing out and manifesting would be on the good side, and then taking in and manipulating, you automatically put that on the bad side. Now we have other opposing forces in life. We have male and female, okay. Then we have black and white, okay. And then you start to see where this is headed, where natural opposing forces of nature and of life are automatically categorized as as good and evil, because I am putting that first. Okay, I'm seeing the world and everything as only good and evil. No, that's not the case. When I'm speaking of this energy exchange, I'm putting black and white first. I'm putting the push and the pull first, and everything else falls under, be it life or death, day or night, male or female. Good and evil, angels and demons, they all fall under the main category of black and white, being the push and the pull, black pulling and white pushing. Now, this has nothing to do with race. Has nothing to do with skin color, okay? I'm not saying that, all black people are evil. Come on, I'm black. I'm not gonna self-demonize, okay? And all white people are holy and pure. No, that's totally not the case. I mean, it doesn't matter what skin color you are equally as capable as doing both evil and good as, the person next to you. Doesn't matter what their skin color or ethnicity or cultural background is. So this is not about race at all. But why am I using black and white? Well, when it comes to power and information, messages, light that we receive from God, if you look at color, black is the color, the hue that accepts light, accepts color. It absorbs it. It absorbs heat. It absorbs, you can say, if you look at light and heat, all is like information and energy. Black is the force that absorbs it, all right? It brings it in. And white is the color or the force that reflects light, that reflects heat, that reflects information. All right. So that's the reason why I use these two colors. It has nothing to do with race, but that it does have excuse me, it does have a basis. And it's very, very important. It's just, based on natural, laws of nature and just color, just observation, all right? But I do want to bring up a topic that I do want to address concerning race and color, and then I'm also going to show you how this also works with the sexes as well. So, why is it that we have this notion that black is evil? Well, to be honest with you, my personal opinion from what I've observed about spirituality and the overall spiritual history of man, it goes back much, much farther than 400 years ago of slavery or any other time. And man, it has a very, very long history. All right. You see, if you look at black and white just as two let's look at it from the standpoint of life forces, two opposing life forces. Let's put it life and death. We could put life on the white side, the pushing out, the giving, and death as the taking, the receiving, the taking of loved ones. All right. These two forces are needed to sustain life. All right. Mankind, human beings, we are not Al-Hay, we are not Al-Qayyum. Al-Hay is one of God's names, meaning life, the sustainer of life, giver of life, and Al-Qayyum is translates to everlasting, the eternal. All right. Neither of these characters, neither of these qualities are applicable to our existence. Not at all. We just receive life. And we only last for a set amount of time. All right. So we have a condition to our life. We have a condition to our existence. And in life, that condition is death. It balances out. All right. We are born, we live for a certain time, and then we're going to leave. We're going to leave this planet. It's going to be over. And that balances our existence. It balances not just our personal existence, but the existence for all of mankind. Things come in cycles, and I mean, I can go on and on just about, the subject of, the life forces and how it balances, but it is very important, it's very needed, all right? So we can't deny this fact. But unfortunately, when someone dies, it's not a happy moment. When a loved one dies, we're not happy. We're very sad. We don't want them to go. And it's natural, that even though it is an important life force and it's very vital to our existence, that when someone dies, we feel very sad, okay? And we feel very upset, and we associate this with being dark, something unwanted, you know. It's not something we look forward to, and that's fine. We do need to experience loss. We can't have it our way all the time. We do need to experience loss. We do need to experience this. If we didn't need to experience it, it would not exist. All right, it wouldn't be here. It's here for a reason. So it is very important to us, not just physically, but spiritually as well. All right, but even though it's there and we understand it, we still, every time someone passes away, it is very sad. It's a very humbling and sobering moment. Okay? But even though that it is a force that is important and we are sad, the very idea of something being taken away from us is frightening. Okay? It's scary. And we automatically will hate it. We try to work against it. Even today, in modern medicine, in modern science, there are scientists that are constantly looking for the fountain of youth and to see if we can eliminate the process of aging and see how we can live forever. Because we don't want to die. We don't want to lack. We don't want to be without. And we are pushing and fighting against this force that is not going anywhere for a very long time. If ever. It's not going to go anywhere. So what we do is we demonize it. We look down on it. We hate it. We want nothing to do with it. We want to try to do everything we can, to get rid of it. And so therefore there is a demonizing that we do with anything that is black, anything that is pulling away from us. Unfortunately, that happens to kind of be totally mistranslated to the races. And quite honestly, if you look at the history of race, I mean, black people weren't really black until someone else came along and said, "Oh, you're black." We referred to ourselves, and not just black people, but people all over the world refer to themselves as their tribe or the kingdom they belong to or their culture. It was about self-naming. We identified ourselves by what we determined, and someone else came outside and decided to classify us, and now it just did not go well at all. And unfortunately, this classification was born out of disrespect, greed, selfishness, for resources. I mean, that's basically what started slavery in the first place, all right? But, the colors of our skin, be they black or white, has really no bearings on our spiritual states in the sense that some are better than others, or some are more pure, some more holy than others. This is absolutely ridiculous. And even if we look at just black and white by itself as two very important forces to life, because they are needed, they are neutral. I mean, they are equally needed. You can't have one without the other. You can't have life without death, and you really can't have death without life. So these two forces, being that they're both needed and both very essential to our existence, are automatically neutral. Automatically neutral. So anything that falls under the category of a push and a pull, they're automatically going to be neutral. Especially in terms of power, it's neutral. On the side of morality, that's up for debate. But in terms of power, it is totally neutral. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of, drive that message home and have people understand when I'm speaking about black and white. I'm not talking about black people versus white people. Come on now, it's please. I'm a little bit more wise than that, but I do want to explain. Okay, so back to this being evil and why black is associated with evil. What you want to look at it, the way you want to look at it is not that black falls on the side of evil because you're putting good and evil as the main category, but that evil falls on the side of black, putting black and white as the main category. And what I mean by evil falling on the side of black is that evil is pulling. Just like black being the pulling force, evil also has a characteristic of pulling. If you look at it, we're trying to, let's say, just follow our deen and get to God. That's our final destination, is to reach God, all right? The evil force is indeed meant to pull us off, and we have to fight against it. But that's its force, that's its purpose, to pull us off. and gives us absolutely nothing in return. I mean, once we're completely pulled off the path and fall flat in our faces, we're abandoned. And there's an ayah that talks about this, and our adversary, tricks hypocrites, and turning them against God. And once they're completely ruined, and they're being overtaken, adversary turns on his heels and just he's gone. He's out of there. He's done his job. He's got you off the path. He's got you off of the right way, and he's nowhere to be found. Okay, and he gives us nothing in return. The same thing for the white side. You can look at prophets and angels, and inspiration, messages. This is white. This is pushing. Okay, this is pushing out, and it helps us to walk the path. It keeps us on the path, and it pushes us to God. And in return, they want nothing. I mean, the prophets never asked anything from any of his followers. He didn't ask us to pay him money, or they didn't ask for us to necessarily even follow them or any allegiance. He just gave us, all the prophets, they just gave us messages. They just pushed out what we needed to push us to God, and they want nothing in return. All right. So if you look at angels and demons and putting it under the category of black and white, you can see how one is pushing and one is pulling, if you just look at it in terms of power. But because they're so opposing in terms of how we practice our religion, it does kind of fall on the side of morality as well, being what's good and what's bad. So due to the fact that evil is pulling, and it's pulling from us, those evil forces, the adversary actually works in the black realm, alright, as a medium. You see, evil needs a medium. It needs something to work with. When you're doing your job, and not just evil, but anyone, when you're doing your job and living your life's mission, or not living your life's mission, whatever you're doing, what it is that you want to do, you need a medium. You need an area to work within, so you can effectively do your job. You can either, let's say you're an artist, you can use a canvas and paint, or you can use digital media to create, or you're a singer, that your voice can be a medium for creativity. There's so many mediums that we have, and evil has decided to take the black force and use it as a medium to work against us. Like I said, these two forces are automatically neutral, and they are indeed created by God, and they are needed to our existence. So one is not better than the other. However, they're both equally as important. So you take one away, you don't have life. You take life away, you take the white side away, you don't have life. You take the black side away, you don't have life. So these two really serve as a balance. You take one away, there's no life. It is that important, all right? And so with that weight and with that importance, adversary knows this. The evil forces know this. So they're going to pick one or the other. And due to the fact that black has a pulling nature, a pulling characteristic, and they want to pull us off the path, this is the arena that is being used. And that's why it is associated with evil. That's the only reason. Because if they decided to use white as their working area, we would then associate everything white with being evil and black being good. That's a little difficult to understand because we've been so, it's literally ingrained in us spiritually that black is falls on evil falls on the side of black, and white falls on the side of good. But if it was switched, it easily could have been switched easily. It's not an impossibility at all. Um, and to the idea of male and female, now if you were to categorize the two under white and black, you would put male to the white side and female to the black side. Not because one is evil and one is, pure. No, but because men, they have an excess, and women, we are lacking, and not lacking in faith or intelligence or anything. But the Quran actually does address this. It says that men have an extra degree, and it's only for responsibility. It's said in Surah 4, chapter 4, verse 34. This is mentioned, and the only reason why man has an extra degree is to take care of women. That's the only reason. So provide for women. That's all. Not to, put us down or subjugate us or to, punish us or hold us back, but just to take care and protect us. So there is that push and that pull stated right there. One is pushing that life force, the white life force, and the feminine principle is pulling, okay? The accepting the black life force, and it balances out just fine. It works just fine, and there's no um, deficiency or there's no problem with this or anything like that. Now, interesting to know, like I was saying before, we don't want to lack. As human beings, we don't want to lack. We don't want to be without anything. We don't like losing loved ones, and that's why we're trying to fight against the idea and the concept and the existence of death. So we have human beings, and half of them are white, and the other half of human beings, female. The feminine principle is responsible for taking something from the other half. That's the only reason why female exists. The only reason why the feminine principle exists is to take, is to accept. You can see why women over the ages, depending on how extreme people have become in spirituality and religion, seem to demonize women. You can see how that happens. You can see how that occurs. Because out of lack of understanding and out of lack of respect for that principle, we hate it. We try to refuse that. Okay, we demonize it. And well, bad things happen. If you look at sexism, I mean, sexism has lasted, oh my goodness, over so many thousands and thousands of years. Okay, and it actually just crosses all races, all cultures. I mean, this is one thing that we as women can really relate to. No matter the culture, no matter the language, no matter the experience, we know what it feels like to be subjugated and punished and held back just because we are created to be women, just because we're women. We don't have a choice to be male or female, and just because we exist and that principle exists, and the other principle seeks not to understand why we exist, then there's the demonizing and the punishing and the suffering that we must go through for absolutely no reason. Okay? So that's why, black is associated with evil, because it's just purely out of a lack of understanding, and unfortunately our adversary and evil needs an arena, it needs a medium, it needs a working area, and being, the main goal to pull us off the path and pull us away from God, it's going to use the black accepting feminine principle to do its work, unfortunately. That's how that works. So I hope that kind of clarifies a few things for you. I know was a bit long, but I really wanted to go over this and clarify it. For everyone. So when I speak about power and energy exchange between human beings and I use black and white, don't automatically assume I'm talking about good and evil, all right? And just to, drive it home again, black does not fall on the side of evil, but evil does fall on the side of black due to its common pulling characteristic. Okay, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, do feel free to email me, catch me on Facebook, or email me on Gmail, and let me know what you have to think about this, and look forward to hearing what you have to say. All right, take care. Blessed journeys.